What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to re-record a video that I made earlier, but unfortunately deleted because I was messing around with editing for the first time and I edited out half my video. So here we are. This one's going to be about what athletic supplements I think are worth your time and what ones you should probably avoid. So we'll start with the ones that I think are worth your time. And there's going to be 3 for each. The first one that I think is worth your time is a good quality whey protein powder, a whey isolate protein powder. Hopefully dairy doesn't bother you. If it does, I do recommend doing a little bit of elimination diet work and find out what components of the dairy are causing problems, because it could be the whey, it could be the types of casein, it could be the lactose. Hopefully it's not the whey, because there is some really good evidence that whey isolate specifically is really well absorbed, very bioavailable. The differences between animal and plant protein are vast, not only in the actual individual amino acid makeup, but in how much is actually utilized. So they use something called the Diaz score, which is the digestible indispensable amino acid score. And they basically get people to ingest different types of protein and then test the nitrogen in their stool to see how much of the protein is actually utilized. And animal proteins are much more bioavailable and utilized. Now that is dependent on how much protein you're getting in your diet. I think if you're getting an adequate amount of protein, and what I would do is look at your lean body mass or your ideal lean body mass, and then use 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal lean body weight. So for myself, I try to aim for between 130 to 150 grams of protein, animal protein per day. Try to get just animal protein because I don't really count plant proteins, because I really have no idea how much I'm actually absorbing. I know it's not bioavailable. So yeah, that's something to consider. And then on a quick side note, anabolic window post-workout, that's nonsense. I really wouldn't recommend chugging down a protein shake, and especially not eating food directly after a workout, because you are in a stressed out state. Your gut is more permeable. There's more likely to be undigested proteins that get in through your bloodstream, and then that can cause autoimmune issues. Just wait. You remain insulin sensitive post-workout, I think for at least, it's something like 24 hours. So there's no need to rush to eat like insane amounts of protein right after your workout. The second thing, also somewhat pertinent on your diet, would be creatine. Now, creatine is super well studied. There's phenomenal evidence behind it for promoting lean mass. Very safe, but it is present in high amounts in animal products, especially in red meat. So if you're eating a lot of red meat, you could probably get away with not supplementing with this. There is still evidence of people who do follow a high red meat-based diet and are still getting benefits from creatine. And especially if you're vegan or vegetarian, you're probably not getting adequate amounts of creatine. So not only for muscle gain, but also there are some cognitive benefits. So there's a really cool study where they gave, I forget if it was vegans or vegetarians, they gave them creatine and their IQ shot up by a pretty substantial amount. So, and there's antidepressant benefits. Like, creatine is a really good, cheap supplement to use. And the third thing would be caffeine. So caffeine, again, very well researched. There's a lot of good evidence for promoting energy output pre-workout. It's super cheap. My only pre-workout that I use is usually a black coffee. I try to cycle my caffeine so I don't have it every day, or I usually do like, a couple weeks on, a week off type of thing, and that's something I recommend too. But you can get caffeine pills too for really cheap. And we're then going to dovetail, following that caffeine talk, into the 3 supplements I do not recommend. First one is going to be a pre-workout, only because the majority of the benefits of pre-workout, I believe, are from caffeine. If you look at the ingredients, they usually have insanely high amounts of caffeine. I don't want to say bordering on dangerous, but there's your daily limit of caffeine in a pre-workout in a lot of them for sure. And a lot of the stuff just kind of get you all like jacked up and jittery, and I've actually had some pre-workouts like really increase my anxiety. That's of course like pretty individualized, but it's just not worth spending the money on something, I believe, when you can get caffeine for super cheap and avoid the harmful additives. There's usually colorings and flavorings and artificial sweeteners and stuff that just like honestly unnecessary. And I think if you don't give yourself the chance to work out without using a pre-workout, you're never really going to realize like how much you don't actually need it. Second thing is going to be BCAAs. So BCAAs are probably one of the biggest things that are pushed in the fitness industry. As we all know, fitness marketing they're geniuses. They're really good at what they do. There's this belief that if you don't have adequate amounts of the branch-chain amino acids, which are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, that when you're working out, you're going to be in a catabolic state and just breaking down muscle. One, that's kind of the whole point, is to be breaking down some muscle to cause a stress on your body, and then the rebound effect is that we build more muscle when we repair it with protein, and then we sleep and adequate calories, and etc., etc. But if you are intaking adequate protein, and I would suggest, again, adequate animal protein, and especially if you're using a protein powder, you really don't need BCAAs. The studies point to the fact that if you can consume 2.6 grams of leucine, which is the specific amino acid that really triggers that anabolic muscle building response, a few times throughout the day, there is just no need to consume BCAAs. And guess what has high amounts of leucine? Yeah, animal products, meat for sure. Just save yourself some money and eat whole foods. If you have trouble getting enough protein during the day, consider getting a protein powder. You can consume essential amino acids. They tend to be quite a bit more expensive, but for high performance athletes, that might be something to consider. But for most people, just a good quality whey isolate protein powder, I think, is a good choice. And the third thing, I had a discussion with a friend about this pretty recently, and the third thing is mass gainers. So mass gainers are basically, you've seen them, they're those giant bags full of basically starch and sugar for the sake of getting in extra calories. And I just think that there are healthier ways to up your caloric intake that don't include, one, buying a supplement, and two, intaking a bunch of starch and sugar. One of the main tips, I think, is to really make a nutrient-dense protein shake a couple times during the day in between meals. So something like throwing in egg yolks and, of course, protein powder. Some healthy oils, like I like to do, like all over avocado oil. MCT oil would be great. Don't overdo it on the MCT oil, or you're gonna have diarrhea for sure, especially if you're not used to it. Some frozen berries for, the sweetness and whatever. But having those extra calories in between meals, that's something that's really easily digestible. It's going to help you hit those calorie goals. And I would rather someone consume starches and sugars from whole foods. So increase your intake of white rice and potatoes. I think that's a great way of getting in extra calories. White rice and potatoes are pretty easily digestible. I've been experimenting with white rice the past week or so, and I've definitely, according to the body weight scale I use, more muscle mass. I know they're more engorged with water. I know that's how it works. No digestive upset at all. It's like that. So anyways, that's what I recommend. You don't need to be focusing on all these supplements. It really starts with food. Take it from me, the guy who would typically spend, in years past, hundreds of dollars every paycheck on supplements because I wanted to experiment and try different things, and it's just not worth it. Cool. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope you found some value in this. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to interact with people. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram. That'll be linked below. And take care and enjoy your day.